Welcome, everybody, to the November 4th Select Board meeting. Will you join me in saying the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay. First up, be the warrants. Brian, you have the general fund warrants.
Two of the general fund warrant.
Thank you.
Happy to report that the warrant looks like it's printed out here November 1st. I think the smallest one I can remember here. So the total is $31,679.31, and roughly 25,000 of that. It looks like two different loads of sand and salt. It's like a little over 500,000 pounds of that. So that's makes up the vast majority of it. So I would make a motion that we accept the general fund warrant for $31,679.31.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Jack, you have the two payroll.
I
took them from him.
That's all right. They got passed down to Jack.
They got passed down. So yes, we have two payroll warrants. The first one is dated October 25th, and that one is for $45,396.59. And I believe that includes some reconciliation with retirement funds, I think, or something. There's a little extra in that one. And then the second one is dated November 1st. And that one is for $30,375.33. And I would make a motion that we approve these as presented.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes. So in your packet, you have the regular minutes from the October 22nd meeting, and you also have the special budget meeting that occurred just prior to our regular meeting on October 22nd. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, would anybody in the audience like to make a public comment? No, good. There. Okay, next up is the Amcare Ambulance Services. So come on up. It's 2024. What do you want?
Please be sure to speak into the microphone, please.
Thank you. You're the boss. It's all good. Just a friendly reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good thing I'm going. So as you know, we are approaching the contract end with July 1st, June 30th of 2025 is when your guys' contract ends. We did a 3-year contract. Brandon, I know you were there. Jonathan, were you with last?
Yep,
believe
I was
so.
there.
I think you guys
Yeah.
are all there pretty much.
I think so.
Not much change in the select board. Not much change in our presentation either, other than updating some numbers, but apparently this presentation was well.
Oh, so we
received.
can level fund it is what you're saying.
No, no.
Well, just try to throw that out there.
So I mean, if you just want to go through, follow through the slide a little bit, the first one is basically a recap of what our call volume is, basically what our emergency call volume. This is, just so you all know, this is the 911 side. So basically, you know, in the town here, we had, I believe 866 calls, which represents 44.5% of our total volume for 911 calls. You can see our 911 call is 1,045 or 1,945, but these are actually people that we transport. There's another roughly 1,000 that we go to that we don't transport. That's a big number, and it affects, of course, how we operate.
That's one clarification. St. Albans Town, are those St. Albans Town residents or people who are transported from St. Albans Town?
So even if you're Fairfield residents, if you crash somewhere on the Guam shore in the town, it's counted as a 911 call in the town. So it's not necessarily residents, it's called in the town. 911 call in the town itself. And we separate the city and the town very well, and meticulously, because we know that's been something that was hard to do in the past. Thank God the computers and a lot of work on our side, particularly our IT guy in Maryland, did wonders. We now have a pretty good system and we can keep track of what's where,
Nice.
particularly zip codes too. I mean, you can be in Georgia and you have no 5478 zip code, so you can't go by that, because it'll show up as a St. Albans Town. We geo-based everything, and now we know who's who. So, before that, you had to go by hand and, you know, so it was tedious. The next slide is basically a gross idea of what it costs to run an ambulance service on a daily basis. And this is basically like everywhere else. Payroll. Payroll is a big number, always a huge number. Auto insurance, liability insurance, workman's comp. As you can see, that's a big number. In our business, workman's comp costs a lot of money. It ends careers quite often, unfortunately. And then the rent, occupancy, we have several buildings and it costs us money to pay walk through. For his buildings.
Yeah, but besides the one on South Main Street, what other
Sheldon.
buildings?
We have another
One in
building in
Sheldon too? Okay, thank you.
Next slide is capital ambulance costs, just to give an idea, you know, an ambulance, I think when we did this presentation a few years ago, an ambulance cost was probably like 200,000, guess what, COVID hit. And everything costs a lot more money, and now it takes anywhere from, 12 to 24 months to get it. Can't get the chassis, you can't get things, you guys probably know what I'm trying to get new trucks.
Only 3 years on a truck.
Yeah, fire trucks, 5 years, I think now it is, 5 or 6 years before you can get a fire truck. From the day you order it. So we still have 6 ambulances, we don't run 6 ambulances, but we're glad to have 6 ambulances, because somebody crashes one, exhaust falls off, whatever, you always have 1 or 2 in the garage, so it's nice to have something to rely on. Our capital costs we did in 2021, we replaced all our cardiac monitor, we expanded and whatnot. Basically, if we do it, if we split it up and amortize all of that, you're looking at like $350,000 a year just in capital costs. Allocate not what responsibility it is, but really what it costs to run an ambulance in St. Albans Town. Based on the 44.5% of the call volume, this is where we look at the town. Basically costs around $815,000 just to run an ambulance service. That's just to be ready. That's just to go out and do, be ready to respond when 911 when something's wrong. Okay, remember this cup of coffee deal on the next slide? Well, the price has gone up, so it's no longer 99 cents or whatever you had for, I think we had $1 last time, he took it off because now you're lucky if you can get a cup of coffee for $1. But basically, the principle is this. You get, if you go, you get a cup of coffee, you pay beforehand. And you get your cup of coffee, and you pay the same price, you pay the same price, you pay the same price for the same cup of coffee. Well, it doesn't work like that in the world of EMS. Number one, not everybody pays the same. It depends on insurance. What insurance? It depends on whether you have insurance. And you don't pay ahead of time. We don't say, hey, you want to ride to the hospital? These are MasterCard. We don't do that. We can't do that. So we transport everybody in good faith, and then we kick the lights on. The average EMS billing is about $1,100, and that's basic. If you really look at it, that's a base rate and mileage. What we bill, which is what we get, is very different. If it's Medicaid, we're lucky if we get 20 cents on it. Medicare, we might get 45 cents. Now, so that's why prices are so high. Why are prices so high? Because the way business runs in healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid set the rules, and to make ends meet, hospitals, ambulance services, doctor's office, they bill third-party insurance companies as much as they can, and that's where they make the difference. Unfortunately, we're in a community, we're in a general area where people can't afford to be Blue Shield. If we have it, it's because we're working for a town, big cities in town, I know Blue Shield, or you're working for a big outfit like me, or you're working for UVM, and they can afford a big insurance company. If you're on the market, if you're buying your own or you're a small business, you can't offer them. It costs way too much. So people don't have it. 50 cents on every dollar is usually not collected. 55 cents on every dollar. So we collect about 45 cents on whatever, which is really very sad. We have a lot of Medicaid in Franklin County. And like you, like 24, 25 something.
How much was like Blue Cross Blue Shield you get reimbursed? Do you get the full amount on many plans or are they also?
Depending on the plan, but most plans, like, say your plan.
Mhm.
We'd probably get the full amount plus the deductible $50. If you get that.
Is it fair to say that everyone has some kind of insurance or there's huge, that don't even have Medicaid?
Probably 20% of our clientele don't have. Particularly in the city, a little less in the town, I believe,
Mhm.
a little less in Fairfield. Sheldon is probably about the same. So it's all, it's all where you go. I don't like the areas or whatever, but two streets in St. Albans, very little insurance, but if you have insurance, it's Medicaid. The upper end of St. Albans City, and the High Street area and all that, those are the Blue Cross. Just, it's trying to think of the right word here. It's where you are in society, where you work, what your level of education is. If you're a doctor, you can afford Blue Cross. If you're an EMT, you can't. Because we don't make one. The EMT starts at $17. You can flip burgers. You can work a wall.
No, literally.
Huh?
Literally.
Yeah. And that's, again, it's because of reimbursement rate. Across the pond, the big pond right here, the reimbursement rates are probably 10 to 15% higher. Medicare reimbursement. Why? Much more population. Vermont's a small state, really. There's 800,000 now.
No, not
Little
what, six,
under.
like 650.
Yeah.
650, 675.
Goal is they.
To go there.
Maybe we're 700. So even worse, there's only this pool of people that can put into the insurance fund and whatnot. Comparison to New York, how many million people? 700,000 is probably a burden in New York City. So that's just to give you an idea of what we bill and what we can collect, which is not very good. The next one shows a little bit, and this is strictly your town. These numbers are for your town. 21 to 22, 17% of non-billable trips is kind of iffy. Our software wasn't geo-based properly yet, so we weren't able to really decide or decipher whether this call belongs to the town or the city or Sheldon or wherever. Again, based on zip codes, you can do a lot. I live in Georgia, I get a Milton. But 22, 23, and 23, 24, those numbers are accurate. Basically, out of 1,072 calls in 22, 23, 357 patients we didn't transport. We don't transport, we can barely bill. So there is a little change to that. We have been billing for literacy. $100. Now ask me how many people pay it. Very little. So-
You wouldn't, so if you went and helped somebody, even if they didn't get transported, there's nothing else you bill for other than like a lift
So
assist?
that's just changed a little bit for Vermont Medicaid patients, Vermont Blue Cross, and Vermont MVP. If we say you fall down some steps, I come and I do a full assessment of it. I treat you, maybe I bandage you, whatever, but you say, well, you know what, I'm fine, I'll drive myself. I can't bill for, like if I transport you, but I can now bill your insurance if you have Medicare, Blue Cross, or MVP, a flat fee, which is
Will they pay that fee or they pay a percentage of it?
still pay that fee.
They will.
That was passed into law, I think, a year and a half ago, because every ambulance in the state said, we do this.
Mhm.
The problem is 90% of the calls are, you didn't call me. Somebody saw your trip and called, I show up, you basically tell me to go bounce anything. I can't bill you, you didn't call me. So there's a big trick there, and it's also, we're not even sure how well we're being reimbursed. We're starting to track it down, we only started doing it about 6 months ago. I'm trying to see. Up until about 6 months ago, we said, well, it's community service. You kind of most people, you know, taxpayers, whatever, I come and I help you back up because you slipped. That is community service. It's starting to tax the system so much, because every time we're out doing this, somebody else goes, I may not be available, because I'm tied up helping you out. And this person said, well, why didn't I get an ambulance from the system? So we have to start doing that. I don't think it's gonna bring a lot of revenue. Honest.
It takes a truck, a lot of times, put out of service for 2 hours dealing with, by the time we've done an assessment, you know, got there and driven back, we lost 2 hours of time that we could have been handling other calls. We may have to go to mutual aid because all our trucks are out.
It's an interesting business for sure. I've learned a lot in 19 years of running a bank here.
Al's got a quick question.
Oh, sorry.
I have ADT security service, and a couple of months ago, the ambulance came up to my house twice within 1 month. Again, I was unaware that whether I fell or something. And I asked the people who responded, I said, can I pay you anything? I owe you anything? They said, no, it's free because you're a town resident. On the other hand, as you talk, I'm wondering, could you ask for a donation? I would have given you a donation.
We never say no to donation, that's for sure, but we don't typically ask, and we're in the process too, of educating our young staff, because I bet you they were really young already.
Yep.
And they think everything's perfect. It's not, you know, so they're under the impression that we came to your house and that we're not gonna build it. You probably hit your button by mistake or something, we won't charge for that. You know, if you have a pendant, and it happens all the time, people hit their pendant or whatever, they're in bed, they're sleeping, and they roll over on it, we show up. What the hell are you doing here? I didn't call you, I didn't push my button. Yeah, we're not gonna bill you for that, we can't. So, no, there is no bill for that kind of thing. We're talking more of the car accident, you know, where somebody gets into a fender bender, we get there. If they called or their OnStar called, and now we have all these vehicles that call 911 for us, and we show up and we basically, if they didn't call, we can't do it. If we treat them, you know, whatever, and we still have another problem. Now, imagine you fell, twisted your ankle, I came, I put your nice back on it, I assessed it, and then I said, can I have your insurance card? Are you in the mood to give me your insurance card right now? Probably not. And if you didn't call me, you're probably not in the mood to give me your insurance card.
Do you think, but do you think if you said like, we're gonna start charging, that people would call you less for like minor? Like, I'm sure you get cases where you probably didn't have to go, or is it?
But then we run into that sticky situation of people that, well,
I
they
don't-
need an ambulance, and they don't call us because they might get charged.
Right,
when
right,
they're
right.
ready to get-
Now they're worried about getting charged instead of taken care of.
And we already have that with elderly people that say, well, we don't want to disturb you.
At one time, we had heard, I don't know if it was from you or Walt, before he sold, the people were, and probably still do, using the ambulance service as kind of a taxi from places like Richford, Munisburg, just saying.
That was the last time we met.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. That blew my mind.
We don't see it that much anymore. I grew up, I started this career in Munisburg and Montgomery, and we had regulars first and 15. You know, meet you at the door because they're near and they had their shopping, because they were going to first shop. Yeah. So it was the first or the 15th, the check, and you to go grocery shop. We might have done some things that were very kosher to deter him for a minute, but we got trouble for it, so we stopped. Like, we had to dump the credit card machine in the back for the company. We got told we couldn't do that. That was.
Oh, like, here's your charge, come pay it, and they're like, oh, I don't wanna pay.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna be.
All of a sudden, their knees not
My
hurting
knees
anymore,
not
they're
hurt,
walking
yeah.
back to their.
So is that
It's mad
still-
as hell, but.
So the whole model, as I understand it, is the stuff that we're subsidizing, we lose money on, and that's what this whole presentation dictates, right?
Yes.
So the profit generating side of the business is transports Burlington, Dartmouth, and other.
I mean, we do get,
facilities.
we do have some income from 911, as you can see.
Well, yes, but it's at a net operating loss, correct?
Yes.
So
Even
you're
transports.
you're looking at a 10-year, I don't mean to cut to it, but you're looking at like a few options ahead here at what we could do to subsidize that so that we don't end up like, say Richford, where I knew the select board chair at one time was backfilling the ambulance service because we couldn't hire people. And like,
And that's happened in a lot of
It's not-
places.
this
And
isn't
believe
an
it or not,
instance.
we are, it's probably one of the best paid ambulance services in Vermont. And we can't find that.
You're,
Very hard to find.
can we go through the?
Oh,
go
we could
through the-
step, we could go right to the chase if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want that, absolutely. So- Right now, you have a contract that expires, but you have a 1-year option to renew it at 5%. Our suggestion, so we have 3 different drafts in there, and whatnot. One is you exercise that right, and then we don't go into an agreement over 5 or 10 years, and we basically 6 or 11 years total. And in 26, 27, we sit down and we say, okay, we gotta renegotiate our per capita. St. Albans has enjoyed a very low per capita for many, many, many years. Part of it is because maybe the last time we came here, we didn't realize that our total price included your dispatch fees that we pay for you. So we, to put it simply, we messed up. We charged you the rate basically that included dispatch. We never include dispatch. The only reason is, and I don't know if it's changed or not, but at the time you guys did not want to pay the city. So you paid us and we paid the city. Has it changed?
Yeah, it's changed.
I think there's a much better relationship between you and the city right now, and I
That
think
is
that's
the way it
kind of
is.
gone by. But, I mean, up to this day, we pay your dispatch.
Do we pay you
Well-
more than?
You pay me. You pay, whatever you pay me, I turn around and I pay.
Can you
Yeah,
can you give us a
well-
version of this document, these 3 options that do not include dispatch fees?
These don't include dispatch.
Okay, so this is,
So the 116,053 that you're paying right now, if you actually look at your books, you're paying 150 or 160 something. Because that number does not include your dispatch. That is the actual number that we charge for the ambulance service.
yeah. Well,
So exercising your 5%, because your renewal for 1 year, 5% brings you 121,000, and then if we revisit and bring the per capita where it should be, we're looking at a massive $50,000 roughly, which is a huge amount. The other way is we come into an agreement to do either 5 plus 1 year or 10 plus 1 year. The 5 plus 1 year, in 26, 27, you see a 23% increase, and then we cap it at 3% annually for the next 5 years after that, or 4 years, right? In the 10-year, we just say, all right, the first, you exercise your right of 5% right off for the first year, and then we go 6% for 5 years and 3% for the next 5. But basically, what we're saying is if you come in, if you guys decided to do a 10 plus 1 year contract with us today, you would be saving $300,000, $400,000 roughly over the course of 10 years. You'd be going from 3.5 million to 1.8. So what we realize is that you might have enjoyed a nice rate, a low rate for a while because of our mistake, but we don't want to say, hey, you know what, here's the hammer. We'd rather get into an agreement with you over 1 plus 5 years or 1 plus 10 years and say, we want to be your providers for the long term and we'd like to offer you. We're not trying to kill anybody. We're not trying to push everybody. We're just trying to equalize everybody and bring everybody back to the normal thing. In 2031 or so, everybody's gonna be in the $25 range. It's the way it is. And 3%, I mean, what's inflation last year, 7? You're talking about 6 and 3%. It gives us a guarantee that, you guys aren't gonna go shopping around next week and get another service in here over the next 10 years and make us very happy and we know we can keep going. Maybe we'll build a building someday, we'll get out of that. Jump here. You know what used to be there, right? Oh, it used to be an old gas station.
Yeah.
No,
They're still well. Tanks and. EPA still come once every year or so. That's the well.
Hey, can you, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
hate to back way up here, but
No, no, go ahead.
I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at current EMS budget. And then I see option one. I mean, those look exactly the same, so I assume those are the
It's,
same
it's,
thing.
it kind of repeats itself in one, yeah. So your current EMS budget, if you were to go the way you go with the per capita adjustment in 2026, that is transferred in option one on the left-hand side. Look at the option on the right-hand side. That's option one. So the current is on the left,
Gotcha, yep.
and then on the right is option one, which is basically a 5+1 year agreement.
Okay, and then on this, help me understand the dispatch fees part.
No dispatch fees.
So there-
Dispatch fees are not included in there whatsoever. You negotiate your own dispatch fees with the
Yeah, okay.
city.
And that's the
Yeah, it's
24,
part of it.
25. But you're saying in 23, 24 there was dispatch fees? I'm trying to remember.
Not in this number.
Not in this number, not in 116,000 you see here.
Okay.
I wish I had my computer, I could tell you exactly what it was. It was closer to 174. I
Yeah,
believe.
so in, we'll call it 23, 24. It was 170 something.
Something,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
This is showing that dispatch fees are not. in
There's
there.
no dispatch fees in there whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, there shouldn't be, because they're,
And then,
We're already paying
so,
in the
Yeah.
police bill, right?
we're paying it in our police budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Where-
so option
careful.
two,
So
I
I'm
just
not
want-
sure how
sure.
it functions, but I know fire is one bill,
Mhm.
police is one bill. Ambulance is one bill.
Yeah, we don't pay any dispatch. We're not supposed to pay any other dispatch
not,
fees with
yeah,
the new
we're-
agreement.
part of. the-
Yeah.
When did
But
that
so,
start?
That started July 1.
This year.
Yeah,
so option two then, I just want to say, so option two is saying we're gonna forego our 1 year option that we
No,
have.
no, option two, you take your 1 year, the 25, 26 at 5%. And then you add 5 more years. The first year, of that 5 year, the 5 extra years, you have we're adjusting the per capita rate to be more realistic. So you have a 23% hike. And then 3% going forward.
Okay, so we're looking to do a contract between years 26 and 31. I know that.
Yes, basically. I mean,
Okay.
we could start right now if you want. But honestly, we'd be much better off to exercise that 5%. At the minimum, we're gonna charge you 20 or 6 to bring you up to, the normal rate or to the,
So
where it
you-
should be, to a
you-
flattened rate.
you administer the invoicing to us? Or is that someone else within the?
This would be the city. Be away.
For, you talking about.
Dispatch?
I'm talking about who, Ampere invoicing the town.
Oh, that's done in Maryland.
Okay, so I'm just seeing, I'm looking at my, we get a weekly or bi-weekly status update on our expenses. We budgeted about $120,000 a year, not counting dispatch fees, which is in line with this, 116,000, we should be late. I'm like, what, a quarter and a half through this fiscal year almost. And I'm showing that we're about just under 71%, that we've been billed about 84, almost 85,000 against that 120. Have we been, I guess my only question is, do we double check and make sure we're not mistakenly being invoiced for dispatch fees and paying those? Because it just seems like we're out of line.
Well, this is what I was gonna bring up, is that if starting 7/1, you haven't been.
Yeah,
charged
I'm
with
just,
dispatch
we're at
fees,
70% of our revenue.
We haven't been told this.
So we
So we're
probably.
still billing you for that ambulance fee plus dispatch fee divided by 12 months. We're still billing you that right
So
now,
can
but
we-
we weren't told not to.
Can we straighten that out in a
Yeah.
way where it doesn't hurt your month, I don't want you to not.
No,
bill us for
and it
3
should,
months, but-
it should really, because, I mean, if say to the 160, whatever the number is, 116 divided by 12,
Yeah,
it says, whatever,
No, there's something,
whatever is tagged on for dispatch,
but you don't
I
like,
just pay it back anyway.
you don't like bill on the first quarter for 2 quarters no,
I
you're
believe
billing
it-
monthly.
I believe you're billed monthly. I
Okay,
have to
so
check
there's
to
that,
remember.
that.
So this is one of the great things about my position, is that I do these presentations, and I run the show here, but when it comes to accounting, I have a whole department in Maryland that does that, but I will find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I will find out about that.
it's really like the last 2 years we've been over budget with Ampere. or ambulance services line.
Well, if we've got a
Okay.
budget of 120 and his own, this presentation says we're liable for 116,000 this year, and I'm at 70, I'm at 85 grand, you know, in November, you know, and somebody's getting billed for something that we shouldn't be. Either that or
We're
we're
paying
paying.
in advance or something.
Yeah, I just want to understand.
Yeah,
You know, and I would imagine you haven't received a bill, and not that you can answer this, but your accounting department can. I imagine you haven't received a bill from St. Albans City, so you probably have some. Not that it probably even shows up anywhere in your balance sheet, probably a fraction of a.
I'm not even sure,
Fraction.
they bill us quarterly, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'll have to ask.
We'll just make sure that we get everybody up
Yep.
to rate.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks.
Actually, if you're at 80% right now, there's only 2 months left, so you're not far from the 116.
No.
That we
not-
were-
well,
Third
just-
July,
we're under
July.
Ju- we're
Oh,
under
that's right.
June.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
We're delighted, Joe.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you'll find out. So you got one line item there. Do you have a separate line item for ambulance dispatch?
We don't pay it anymore. See, we.
Right,
so
since
the way-
July, but before, oh, yeah, okay.
our-
Yeah, we just paid in.
What I'm looking at, that's at 85,000 starting on July 1st.
Okay, yeah,
So, and it would still be out of whack if we were at 170,000, we'd be at 50% when my fiscal year doesn't, I shouldn't be hitting that number until around the first of the year.
right.
So I don't know where
Especially if we paid monthly. If we paid quarterly, we just paid our second payment.
yeah, if you bill us quarterly now and we just paid our second payment, then maybe we're in the right.
I'll ask that.
Yeah, we're probably paying quarterly, we paid 2 quarters and we're paying for dispatch, that's my guess.
Still be high though, yeah.
So whatever we can do to figure. it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I will look into that and I will definitely find out from the dispatch because if not, I want to make sure that we didn't pay dispatch fees since July, either,
Yeah, we do too.
you know?
Not that it wouldn't be an honest.
Honestly,
mistake.
because we weren't told that this changed. I know we've been billing it since July for dispatch. I can just about guarantee you.
Well, both of you are checking on it.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
We'll have an answer very, very
it
shortly.
just makes sense to me, you know, I mean, for the last 2.5
Right.
years, if you want, we've been billing you for dispatch fees, and now all of a sudden.
sure.
we're
The
not
city's
supposed to,
not-
But nobody tells us.
The city's not invoicing you for dispatch. You just kind of do it.
I have to make sure that we.
Okay.
It'd be an honest mistake on their end if that were the
Yes.
case. But it just, basically, you're in EMS, you're first responder. We're now, so to speak, partners in the police department, which includes the dispatch service. So there's a net operating loss of like 600 grand a year. And part of being a partner in the police department, we split that net operating loss, which entitles us to not have to pay beyond that point. So that's why we don't pay the dispatch fee anymore.
Oh, that's good,
But
good. Makes a lot of sense, but I'll find out about that for sure, we'll clarify that. Good, about sure we just never change our number. Our billers are told, bill this, our billers don't necessarily go by what they get billed. They're just told every month you bill the town for that much, and that's what they do on the first of the month, they bill you. They don't know that, you know, we stopped paying the bill.
yeah, I mean, for that,
It's achievable if you want, you know,
for these numbers to make sense, I would bet that we're on quarterly.
and I would bet that you've been paying dispatch fees since July, and you shouldn't, if we're not getting billed.
So-
Yeah. well, we can-
So we just review the 3 options internally and get back to you with the one that we think is best.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, remember that the option 1 is the first year at 5%. And then the rest of it, so it's basically 6 year, and the same with the 10 year. I would not, you know, jump to a 6% when I have an opportunity to go for 5%. I mean, that would be me. Me, I'd say, you want to increase me by 6, you tell me I can do it for 5, I'll do it for 5. And it's not gonna change our service. Do you have any questions for us regarding anything else other than money?
Al's got a question.
Have you anticipated, there's a whole lot of discussion going on about health insurance costs at the state level. Have you anticipated what the impact will be on your revenue? These are what the Green Mountain Care Board is doing?
The Green Mountain Care Board is doing a lot of different things, but there's a big study about how we're underpaid and underfunded. So if anything, by what I understand, if anything through that, Ambulance Association, the Vermont Ambulance Association, we should get better reimbursement rates, particularly from Medicaid. That will help everybody. Long run, would allow us to continue to pay people more. It would allow us to say, hey, EMT, we can give you 50 cents more an hour, $1 more, and entice people to come to work. This is a thought. Like I said, at $17 per hour starting pay for an EMT, we're probably amongst the higher. Some people are higher than 15.
Well, and that's what the state had to
And that's why the state's looking into it.
lower the standards for people in the ambulance to a beeper. We haven't done it. We stick to, an EMT being our lowest. A beeper's got 2 days of training. And it's run the ambulance. We don't do that.
We still believe in the way Walt did and give the best care. Never to come. One difference is he bucketed one money. They give me any.
So I have one more question.
Yeah.
As soon as you said we do the best care, I have a but do not resuscitate.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I gave to your person who responded to my house, but is that something you would keep on file? So if you come up, you wouldn't?
We can't
pound
get on file because we have access to it.
And if somebody changes it, we wouldn't always get a copy too. So.
Testing. They sell these little stickers you put on your fridge. And a little big, like, pill bottle that you take in your fridge, that is bio white. Keep it in there. We are trained from day one to work in there.
So I wear a bracelet to that order and a necklace to that order. Is that good enough?
That's it, doesn't tell us to be hurt.
Gives you the access code to the state DNR.
I don't have access to it. So I'm at your house and you're going. I'm looking at your bracelet. I don't have internet. I can't, you need a physical copy.
You don't have internet on the ambulance?
It's
Some
Vermont.
places we do, some places we don't, but
Wow, okay.
It's Vermont. If I have internet, you can sell it the base, and you pay them where you are.
the other thing too is we would have one person maybe call the doctor at the hospital and he could access it. We still have to start treatment.
Well, that's the problem with my mother. You started treatment and it took her 11 days to die.
Have a physical copy on the paper.
I have one up next to the refrigerator.
That is, yeah, that's the point. We by law, we have to do everything until we have that physically.
Okay.
It's been an issue for you.
Well, yeah, that helps me. I hope the people listening too, it helps them.
I don't want to start treating or doing CPR on somebody who doesn't want it.
Right.
CPR is not a pretty thing.
I know.
Well, I want him to be resuscitated.
Yeah.
Well, I want him to be resuscitated.
Never mind what else.
Oh.
You can resuscitate him and give him a ride right here.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you want me to.
Awesome.
We'll get out of here. Let's-
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I just actually have a real quick question for you.
Yes.
Am I reading this wrong for option 2? Because it looks like 5-year option's better than the second. The 10. They just swap. Am I reading that wrong?
Option 2 is better, I think, isn't it?
But the annual increases are lower with option 1.
But it's not first.
I'm just going off the, this makes sense, the chart makes sense.
This, It
Okay.
illustrates at 3% past the first year. So basically, you get like a
Yeah.
23% the first year.
But the 10-year says it'll continue at 6% for the first 5 years. Whereas,
You only go from
Yeah.
1.1 to
Yeah, you start
6%,
lower.
whereas here,
okay,
and option one, if you look, you're going like 23%.
yeah, no, the chart makes sense, it's just the,
It's the way he wrote it.
yeah, that's all.
Gradually as opposed to
You gotta
a big
double
jump.
it.
That's why they did it.
Plain English.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
West.
It's fine.
I mean, because when I'm looking at that, I mean, option 2, I mean, it starts lower and ends lower in 10 years as well. I mean, you were saying option 1 you feel is less expensive?
No. option-
No, only way it's written.
Right, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I was
The
hearing.
chart makes sense, it's just the
Yeah,
verbiage
option
below.
starts with 23%
Yeah.
increase After.
After
your
year 25, 26,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And then drop to 3% for 5 years.
Yeah.
But now if you keep it up and you extend it to 10 years.
Yeah.
You still end up paying.
So what, I have a question, and I know we're kind of done, but Aren't you putting yourself at quite a bit of risk, not knowing inflationary pressures on your industry or other factors in our world today to go out 10 years and say, I mean, would you come back in year 7 and say, look, we're gonna go bankrupt and we have to, how can you not though? Like,
Because.
how are you gonna offset those
Right, but if we
additional
were a small
expenses?
Corporation, local, years ago when it was just, well, that might happen. We've got a huge corporation behind us.
So we, just to give you a little background, since Walt sold this company, our company was acquired by one company. And they bought another company in Arkansas that has. What did they more than we, another 80 engines and 400 employees. And we're in the process of buying another company in Yorktown. So we have revenue coming from multiple countries. The boss made his money in Maryland with transport, his transport. And everything else he's buying is 911 because that's where he bought. And he wants to provide the 911. He knows 911 doesn't do it. But that's what he likes to do. So before we go bankrupt, we have this big company that's super successful and that has a lot of capital. I mean, we can't, when we say we bought 6 new cardiac monitors in 2021, they bought 90. Because they refurbished everybody in their service in Maryland. So there's the capital that we're not really. Insurance rates aren't gonna go, insurance rates are gonna go up, payments are gonna go up. The inflation is gonna go up with it. Medicare is gonna have to change, and not just here, everywhere, because Medicare is basically, they need to change their billing rate and they need to change how they're paying people as well. And that's kind of like here, Green Mountain Board is looking at and going out for that, but yeah, I'm not worried. I worry more about losing it. That's a way bigger impact than say, next year I'm charging 6% and inflation's 9%. That's not as bad as losing a full time.
Right.
I'd rather have a contract for 10 years, knowing that you guys are gonna be here, and that we're gonna work together for 10 years. It's working. Because again, your contribution, your payment, if you want, is a portion, it's not.
Correct.
That's a subsidy. It's a subsidy to the 911 side of it.
Yeah.
So
It's a
if
subsidy.
they,
And I wish the world would change around, the insurance companies would pay a lot more, and we could say, hey, guess what?
well, if in
We don't need to
20,
charge you anymore.
in 2033, if an ambulance is 472 grand and your rate appreciation doesn't touch that, then your transport and Burlington are gonna cost, if they're 1,000 today, they're gonna be 3,000 then. And that's how you're gonna.
And that's the way,
That's how you're gonna-
that's the other way that we subsidize, is that we are doing some transports. We maintain 911 at all times, but we have 3 crews that are going, and we're doing these transports, and that's how we generate a little bit more income so we can keep the prices lower for the town. We live there too.
Oh, yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yep,
Thank you.
no, I mean, it's a very good question, because it is a risk, right?
Oh, it's a reality.
Yeah.
It's not a risk, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
So,
but again, we're better off having knowledge that we're gonna be working together for 11 years, and, okay, what happens?
right, gotcha.
And I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the next 10 years, I won't be around, but you'll retire. I think you're gonna see a big change in the landscape of EMS in Franklin County and in Vermont, where it's gonna become more regional. You've got all these entities, like you mentioned, you got Richland, share the board, running the ambulance to try and make it run. All these small towns are paying same kind of money in more. I mean, Petersburg right now is paying about $31 this time. Just to keep the ambulance going. I mean, that's a lot.
And it's not always easy.
No.
They struggle with that.
They hate us every time they raise our rate. You guys know Carol Turtle? He does. Every time we raise the rate,
Yeah.
their voice say.
When our wages go up.
20%.
Tax.
Just
They gotta try to
increase the
keep
rate
up.
10%, what about us, But it's the nature of the beast, and it's just becoming harder and harder for bodies to live down, to have their own animal. And we just bought an animal, $288,000, empty, there's nothing in it. You know, there's a suction can. But everything else you put in it, by the time you load it, you put everything in it, the stretcher is now, you know, newer style stretcher.
How much? For stretcher?
For stretching. Stretcher with a metal.
I gotta get in the stretcher selling business.
So what?
I bet they don't sell them. But still,
One per ambulance, one per unit.
What we have to have in an ambulance these days, I mean, are a moving ICU for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that's in there is all state mandated. We can't take anything out.
No. No,
Because the state says, they give us a list, you gotta have this.
Yeah, but you guys are also the difference between whether you make it or you don't have an accident scene or something like that.
We are something. Sometimes we are. That's God's will, not ours.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Oh, we just asked you a question, you got any idea? Here's my boss gonna ask me. What, when you got? Is that one that or whatever?
It won't be long, I wouldn't think.
Is that one couple weeks?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Till March.
You know he's gonna call me.
Yeah, you have to go out, but you can tell them. that it's coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Helmet went good.
Hey, guys, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is it? Thank you.
Are we gonna talk about this briefly or?
We can if we want. We have to have to inform them by March, so.
Oh, March?
Yeah.
That's our contract.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said July is March, so.
I mean, I don't know how everybody feels, but a 10-year deal that saves us. Are you not on board with that?
So the only question that I have is, and then Brian that found it,
Well,
is it a fixed rate based on the numbers that we were just presented? Or is it per capita, so that if we add 900 people over the next 10 years, are we gonna pay the per capita fee times whatever our population is? And then how do you go, I would think it's a fixed amount.
This would be a contract if you want to talk about it.
The 6% though, we're just saying is on last year's price, not on per capita.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah, we talked about that after, but, you know,
Okay.
because if they're fixed like that, then it's essentially
Say
at the
not
rate,
scope.
at the clip we're growing at, it's essentially a flat rate for 10 years.
No, it's gonna be per capita. Got it.
If it's
Okay.
fixed based on those
You
numbers.
can call
fine.
and find out.
Yeah.
They have the expenses for every time they transport somebody, so it has to be per capita.
Yeah,
That's why they put that number on there.
But
that's why that column's in there.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Because it's,
Town managers report.
Really just one thing, we are having, kind of opening up for a day, our old DPW garage for a toy drive. It's being organized by, the local Mason Lodge for hurricane victims. That'll be on this Saturday, November 9th. People are invited to drop off toys throughout the week, during the day, or they can schedule stuff, and it's just for, I think, 3 hours Saturday morning, just to organize, and then they're shipping off all the toys down to, the Carolinas and Florida and stuff like that, so.
This is a weird question, but do they accept pet toys?
I would imagine so.
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna say no to it.
Sean, can you start doing some Facebook posts and then we can get,
Mhm.
I'm sure Mike will post them to the St. Albans page and other
Yeah.
community pages.
Mhm.
And that's November 9th.
November 9th,
Saturday.
yeah, this Saturday, yeah. Yeah.
So the sooner that happens.
They want to check it out, make sure it was good before we.
Yeah, it would be great.
Be in and out in a day.
yep, that's good.
Indeed, that's all I have right now.
Okay, anybody have any other business? Okay, hearing none. The next select board meeting is Monday, November 18th, Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. And do we want to schedule a budget? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have the joint police board on the 14th.
6:30.
Yeah,
Of November.
yeah.
Yep.
So
do we just want to do it before the December 2nd or the November 18th meeting, or do we want to wait till December 2nd?
Could we do it the 18th? Because I'm gonna be out of town on the 2nd.
I think that, yeah, the sooner, not like.
Well, you don't
tomorrow,
forget
but
the-
Sooner the better.
Okay, November 18th.
Want to do that?
You wanna do it early that day again?
Yeah, I
Wanna
think
do
that
that?
work. Do we have to do it at 1, you think?
Yeah.
No.
Move
no,
it back so
Like
we don't,
5?
we don't have a gap between.
4 or 5, yeah, we can do that, yeah. Cause we did all the requests and stuff. so-
Yeah, it's just gonna
Yeah.
basically be 7, you know.
Mhm.
So when's the police board thing?
The 14th, yeah, 6:30.
There'd be enough time after that to put the numbers together for the
Yeah.
18th.
Yeah,
What time is that?
6:30,
Where we did last year?
yeah.
Police department, yeah.
Is that a public meeting?
We had,
Newspaper,
I think,
newspapers there
two
last
people
year.
from the public last time, I think, right?
Yeah.
Couple town
Yeah,
residents, the
it's-
newspaper,
It's in the conference room.
yeah,
It's not massive, but it's big enough.
yeah.
You never know.
Oh, and there will be a town chairman this year, so between you three.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I already knew the answer on that side, but
Perfect.
What time for this? budget
It's
meeting?
the 18th
Oh, what
at
time do you wanna
5,
do the
is that
budget meeting?
What we're saying?
5,
18th at 5.
Okay.
Do the budget meeting.
At 5,
Yeah.
that late. So we'll do everything we need to do in an hour and a half.
I think so.
yeah, probably,
All right, sounds good.
famous last words,
Well, if we gotta pick it up on the other end of it, we'll pick it up. there.
Yeah.
Do we need executive session tonight?
Yeah,
We do.
yeah, for the legal, yeah.
Okay. Would
Shouldn't be
one of the
long.
members like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a legal matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town and persons involved at a substantial disadvantage. Further move to enter into executive session to discuss a legal matter under the provisions of Title 1, Section 313A1, Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager and director of operations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.
Recording stopped.